PGII. PGII means Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment. Now, this is basically the plan of the USA and its allies to create. This is a plan of the USA and its allies to create a kind of a framework within the Indo-Pacific to counter the Belt and Road Initiative of China. Now, the BRI, the Belt and Road Initiative of China, I feel is going to be more or less, you must have an understanding of the BRI up till now. Okay, so PGII is a G7 initiative which is countering the BRI in terms of developing infrastructure in these areas of the Indo-Pacific, right? So let me put a point number A over here. Okay, take a look at this point number A. Partnership for Global Infrastructure Investment. It is a G7 initiative launched in 2022. G7 initiative launched in 2022 by which the G7 countries intend to mobilize $600 billion. G7 initiative launched in 2022 by which G7 countries intend to mobilize $600 billion into creating infrastructure in the low and middle income economies in Africa, Latin America, and especially in the Indo-Pacific. Okay, very simply, I'm giving you the concept. Again, this is an organization launched in 2022, and we have seen development on this organization in 2023 and 24 also. So the G7 initiative, you have the G7 countries, the G7 bloc, which is launched in 2022, by which the G7 countries intend to mobilize $600 billion into creating infrastructure in the low and middle income economies in Africa, Latin America, and especially in the Indo-Pacific region. Right? This is the first part of the G7. It is seen as a counter by USA and its allies of the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative. PGII replaces the infrastructure projects previously launched by USA like the Blue Dot Network and Build Back better world, B3W. Four priority sectors of the PGII are: number one, climate change and energy security, which is basically where the infrastructure developments are going to, take place on the basis of these concepts: climate change and energy security. Second is what is known as digital connectivity. Third is health systems. And health security. This is the third one. And fourth is gender equality and equity. These are the four, what you can say, priority sectors by which the infrastructure development is going to be determined by. So the infrastructure is going to be developed in such a manner that it ensures the mitigation of climate change and assurance of energy security, to create digital connectivity, to maintain health systems and health security, and infrastructure which provides for gender equality and gender equity, right? Infrastructure which is more convenient for women, because most of the infrastructure which is currently made in the modern times is made from the perspective of the usage of the man. So workplaces, etc., have created infrastructure which is largely, for the conveniences of the males. So gender equity and equality, and especially with regard to infrastructure for the special needs of the transgenders. So these are the four priority sectors of the PGII. So just let me go back to this point. If you take a look at the PGII, it is a partnership of the G7 countries which seek to mobilize $600 billion into creating infrastructure in the low and middle economies in Africa, Latin America, and especially the Indo-Pacific, including India. Okay, it is seen as a counter by the USA and its allies to the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative. Point number C, PGII replaces the infrastructure projects previously launched by USA, like Blue Dot Network and the Build Back Better World, B3W. So these have been subsumed by the PGII. And the last thing that you see is four priority sectors of the PGII are climate change and energy security, digital connectivity, health systems and health security, and gender equality and equity. All this information has been taken by the document of the launch of the PGII. So all of this is very technical information, and therefore this is very clearly some kind of a material for creating multiple choice questions. Okay, so with regard to the creation of MCQs, I am focusing upon this part slightly more emphatically with regard to what is understood as the PGII.